right, everyone. So today we're taking a deep dive into a book that's generating a lot of buzz, Las Fuerzas Contrarias, the latest from Bevilacqua and Chamorro. We've got promotional materials and a summary to really get into the nitty-gritty.
That's right. And I love these deep dives. The goal today is to understand what this new installment in this popular series is all about, what themes are explored, and why it should matter to you, whether you're a diehard Bevilacqua and Chamorro fan or this is your first encounter.
Right. Now, for those who haven't had the pleasure, these two are a dynamic duo of Spanish crime fiction investigators. Seriously, they're captivating and have become a huge name in the genre. And this isn't just any book. Las Fuerzas Contrarias is the 14th in the series. These two have seen some things.
And it's brand new, released just this month on March 5, 2025. You can find it as an ebook or a beautifully designed hardcover. It's published by Áncora Delfín, part of Ediciones Destino. It clocks in at 408 pages, ISBN 978-84233-67177. But of course, the real meat is in the content.
Definitely, and that's where we come in. The novel is set in a post-pandemic Spain, which is a setting that, as they say in the promotional material, where the shadows of the recent past loom dangerously, which I think resonates with a lot of us. It's like that feeling of, when you try to remove an old stain from a white tablecloth, there's always a trace left behind.
Exactly. So the big question we're grappling with today is what does the author mean by these opposing forces, these fuerzas contrarias? How do they play out in the story? And most importantly, how can we connect these forces to our own experiences and understanding of the world? Because a good crime novel always goes beyond just solving crimes.
Okay, let's break this down. Las Fuerzas Contrarias. The title itself sets off alarm bells. It's not a gentle name. It suggests a push and pull, a struggle against the current. And the summary gives us a crucial clue. The novel explores how these opposing forces impact our collective well-being, our outlook on the future, even our capacity for hope. That's quite a statement. It's like that feeling you get when you go to the doctor and they tell you need to change your lifestyle. Things are serious.
What's so fascinating here is how the post-pandemic setting acts as a powerful catalyst. It's like the health crisis lifted a rug, and we can now see more clearly these forces that may have always been there, but are now intensified. Maybe they've even taken on new forms. The promotional material mentions 2 suspicious deaths, which plunges us right into the heart of the thriller we expect from Bevilacqua and Chamorro. Double mystery, double intrigue.
A 2-for-1 suspense deal. Now that always gets us hooked. But I suspect there's more to it than just uncovering who committed the crimes.
Right, because the emphasis on these fuerzas contrarias suggests that these events are symptoms of something deeper, something that's shaking society to its core. It's like the tip of the iceberg signaling a much larger hidden mass beneath.
Precisely. And when we connect this to the bigger picture, the novel seems to offer an X-ray of the tensions and changes that the pandemic has left on Spanish society. Think about the polarization we've witnessed in many places, the distrust of institutions that emerged during the crisis management, the economic consequences we're still grappling with. All these elements could be examples of these opposing forces the title mentions. It's as if society itself is wounded, bearing scars that are slow to heal. And that's where things start to get really interesting. We begin to envision how these forces could manifest in the plot through these 2 suspicious deaths. The information we have invites us to imagine different scenarios. For example, could one victim be someone who emerged as an important figure during the pandemic? A community leader who's now become an obstacle to certain interests during this post-crisis reconstruction phase. It's like in those small towns where there's always someone resisting change.
That's a very pertinent question. Could this death, perhaps presented as an accident or a chance event, actually conceal a much more complex plot interwoven with these social or economic tensions we've discussed? Perhaps this person, through their community work, was stepping on the toes of someone who benefits from division or inequalities. It's a chilling possibility, but quite characteristic of the crime fiction genre.
Or consider the other death, the scientist who, right before passing away, was questioning certain official narratives about the pandemic. Now there's another thread to pull on. Could these opposing forces be hidden powers seeking to maintain a specific narrative of what happened? It's like when someone tries to silence a voice they don't want to be heard.
It's a very suggestive hypothesis. In a time when information and misinformation have played such a crucial role, the figure of a scientist daring to question the established narrative could be perceived as a threat by certain influential groups. It's as if they're revealing a secret some wish to remain buried.
What seems clear is that the novel doesn't just scratch the surface of a criminal enigma. It uses these cases as a magnifying glass to examine the scars the pandemic has left on the fabric of Spanish society. And that, I think, is what can make this novel particularly resonant for many of us. After all, we've all experienced these changes firsthand, these uncertainties and tensions. It's as if the novel is giving voice to feelings many of us have grappled with.
Absolutely. And the promotional material highlights another crucial point. These events mark a turning point, both in Bevilacqua and Chamorro's relationship, and in their own worldviews. After 13 novels sharing cases, these characters have evolved. And it seems that post-pandemic society presents them with unprecedented challenges, forcing them to question their own certainties. It's as if they too have to adapt to a new normal, both within their relationship and outside of it.
For those of us who've been following the series from the start, this is a huge incentive. Seeing the characters mature, confront new realities, it's part of the charm. But even for someone approaching Bevilacqua and Chamorro for the first time with this novel, this promise of evolution in the protagonists can be an excellent starting point. They're not cardboard cutout detectives. They're people who are affected by the world they investigate. It's like starting to watch a series in a later season, but with the guarantee that the characters have a rich backstory.
It's like the pandemic hasn't just transformed society. It's also left its mark on the dynamics of this unique investigative duo. Will we see new friction between Bevilacqua's analytical pragmatism and Chamorro's sharp intuition? Or will their collaboration be strengthened in the face of these opposing forces that threaten to destabilize everything? The answer, as always, lies within the pages of the novel.
So what have we learned from all of this? What seems Las Fuerzas Contrarias is much more than your average mystery novel. It presents itself as a portrait of a society in metamorphosis, marked by the aftermath of an unprecedented global crisis, and where dark forces lurk, ready to disrupt the established order. And it's all told through the sharp and insightful eyes of Bevilacqua and Chamorro. It's like having two exceptional guides to help us navigate a complex labyrinth.
In short, Las Fuerzas Contrarias presents us with two deaths shrouded in mystery. In a Spain still reeling from the aftershocks of the pandemic, the novel explores latent tensions in society, such as growing polarization, the erosion of trust in institutions, the persistent social and economic consequences of the crisis, and the possible resurgence of old conflicts under new guises.
And we can't forget that turning point in Bevilacqua and Chamorro's relationship. For those of us already following their adventures, it's a compelling reason to dive headfirst into this new installment. For new readers, it's the promise of discovering complex and fascinating characters who are also evolving with the times.
Think about the examples hinted at in the promotional material. The suspicious death of a community leader whose demise could be linked to hidden interests, or the passing of the scientist who dared to question the official pandemic narrative. These are just two examples of how these opposing forces could be at play in the plot.
And this is where we connect directly with you, our curious listener. Bevilacqua with his analytical mind and his knack for spotting details others miss, and Chamorro with her feminine intuition and ability to read between the lines, offer us two complementary perspectives to approach these intricate cases, an invitation to consider different viewpoints, something we know you value.
Which brings us to one final thought, one that might push you to think a little beyond what we've discussed today. If this novel depicts a society grappling with the consequences of a profound crisis, and confronting these opposing forces that seem to operate in the shadows, what other invisible forces might be influencing the world around us right now? How could we sharpen our perception to become more aware of their impact on our own lives? Perhaps by delving into the pages of Las Fuerzas Contrarias, we might find some clues to better understand the complex reality we live in.